receive Juniker's rewards points over time that you can use for future purchases.
You get rewards points for every purchase on diamonds, engagement rings, and wedding bands, new fashion jewelry, estate and antique jewelry.
Even on all your jewelry repairs.
Think of it as Juniker's frequent flyer program for love.
And rewards points add up fast. Come to Juniker's and sign up today.
Juniker's Rewards. One more way. At Juniker's, we've been giving you more since 1944.
Juniker Jewelry Company. We're at 1485 Highland Colony Parkway, just south of 463 in Madison, and online at junikerjewelry.com, Mississippi's direct diamond importer.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station, its parent, affiliated, or related entities, agents, or employees.
If it feels like the world's gone a little crazy lately, you're not wrong. They say parents should have a voice. But what happens when no one's listening? Forget the noise, the narratives, and the nonsense. It's time to have real conversations, stand up, speak out, and shine a light on what's really happening inside our schools, our systems, and our government, and what it really means for your family. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show, where we believe in truth over talking points, facts over feelings, and the courage to say what others won't. Because when it comes to our kids, silence is not an option.
Only in America.
Welcome into the Lindsay Beckham Show. Happy Thursday, everyone. We're live here in the WYAB studios. We're also streaming live. Facebook, YouTube, and X. Hope everybody is staying cool out there. It is hot. And of course, we have been promoting this event coming up in Madison County, this Fentanyl Walk for Lives event happening July the 11th. I'm telling you, I was looking at all of the things that they're going to have at this event, and it's definitely one you don't want to miss. There's going to be speakers. There's going to be free Narcan available. They're going to be there to show you how to use it. They're going to have snow cones and inflatables, giveaways, raffles. There will be a walk for those who have passed in memory of them. There will be just education on what's happening in our country when it comes to this fentanyl crisis. There's going to be live music. Philip Yarborough and Kim Hawkins will be there. So y'all come out and support this event, support these parents who have lived through this tragedy and speak out about it, because it's so important to them that another family has to go through what they've been through. And today I'm joined in the studio by Colonel Stephen Maxwell, and he is with the Mississippi Department of Corrections, and then also Jan Dawson, who's the director of the Mississippi Public Health Institute. Thank you guys so much. Remember to move that so I can see your faces. Thank y'all so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. And you can just turn those mics kind of to your mouth so we'll be able to hear you. But I appreciate you both so much for being here and taking the time to come speak about this issue and this event coming up.
Of course.
Yes, ma'am.
So and I will start with you, Mr. Maxwell. Colonel, what do you want me to call you?
You just call me Maxwell.
Maxwell?
Just call me Maxwell.
So tell me, how did you get involved and get to this position where you are today? I know you've kind of worked your way up in law enforcement. Yeah, and we were talking about, you used to be with the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics. And I'm sure you've seen a lot when it comes to overdoses and drugs and these tragedies that we're seeing happen with our children.
Yes, ma'am. I was hired on with the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics in 1994. And when I was hired on with MBN, the thing that drew me to that was watching television shows like Miami Vice. Mm-hmm. And so when I was hired on with the Bureau of Narcotics, I was hired on with the thought process of, I want to be buying cocaine, I want to be driving all over the state and living the life as I saw it as a narcotics agent watching the television show Miami Vice. Well, the reality of the situation is that the drug culture is in constant evolution. The show did a really good job of depicting the dangers associated with drug trafficking, but the day-to-day realities, the trauma that is associated with it, as far as drug-related overdose deaths, families dealing with individuals associated with addiction, those things were the realities that really hit me in the face as I started my career. One of the things that kind of disappointed me initially was the first drug purchase. I thought I was going in to potentially purchase cocaine. That was my thought process. But my first drug purchase was for about 120 or so dollars worth of pharmaceutical drugs, painkillers, pain
Hmm.
medications. And I was disappointed. And my FTO pulled me to the side. He said, "Hey, let me tell you something. In the next 10 to 15 years, this is going to be the most significant issue plaguing our country." And he was right.
He knew it was coming.
He was right. So we entered into a phase of evolution within the drug culture where prescription medications, painkillers led the way
Hmm.
with regards to addiction. That was the doorway to where we are now with synthetic drugs. And you're absolutely right. Throughout the course of my 30 plus year career in law enforcement, I have seen how addiction stemming from drug trafficking has ravaged families, communities, and it continues to plague our country
Yeah.
as a whole. The drug culture is probably one of the most indiscriminate permeating subcultures of American culture. We all know someone who knows someone
Yeah.
that has been or that is currently being impacted by the drug culture.
Hmm.
And irrespective of socioeconomic status, education, whether you have a title in front of your name, letters behind your name, square footage of your home, or the acreage that you own, we
Doesn't
all know
discriminate.
someone,
It does not
absolutely,
discriminate.
or know someone who's been impacted by the drug culture. So,
So, as you've kind of worked your way through this, what surprised you the most when you see these drug addicts or people who've overdosed? What's kind of been the shocking point for you, or what did you not expect?
in the initial phase of my career, it was all about see bad guy, get bad guy.
Hmm.
And I saw everyone who comprised the drug culture as a bad guy. And what I didn't realize is that the drug culture can sell drugs, and then there are tiers of those folks, and then individuals who use drugs, and there are tiers of those folks. Recreational use, those who are living in active addiction, and then those who are in recovery. Okay, and and I saw it as kind of a monolithic group at that time, but I realized that it's not so monolithic, and that you couldn't arrest your way out of it. You cannot initiate enough investigations and make enough arrests to solve the issues that are associated with the drug culture.
Hmm.
And the biggest evolution for me was in my thought process as a result of becoming educated and being able to see the realities associated with the drug culture, which led me to meet people like Jan Dawson and so many others who are
Hmm.
doing great work in the area of treatment and recovery. One of the things that dictated and drove my mindset at the time, and I hope we get a chance to talk about it when we start talking about stigma,
Hmm.
is that when I saw someone who was a part of the drug culture, I saw them as someone living with and living through an addiction. I didn't know that person prior to addiction, and I did not see the value in them of who they could become in recovery.
Hmm.
And so that one track mindset was a driver for me. But now when I see someone, I have a thought process that this is a son, this is a daughter, this is a mother, this is a father. Um, and I wonder, okay, let's find out who they were prior to addiction, and let's look at who they can be, once they enter into recovery. Unless they have, obviously committed crimes that is going to require them to be held accountable,
Hmm.
through the judicial system. And then we can talk about, treatment and all those things along the way. But it's just a different mindset. And and I can tell you that people who find their way into addiction now, okay, are not the same people that I came in contact with in 1994. I'll give you a quick example. I was called by a friend of mine uh, about 18 months, 2 years ago, Ruth Ann Rigby. And she asked me to go to a treatment facility because there was a family there and they were in need. And we get there, and the person that needed care wasn't an adult. That person was 14 years old. 14 years old. So the age of addicted individuals that I have come in contact with over the evolution of my career has decreased from mid 20s, early 30s, 40s, so forth and so on, to teens, adolescents, and children.
That's so scary, and I'm glad you kind of touched on that because one thing I wanted to get your opinion on is a lot of times we hear people say, "You can never win the drug war, so we should just not even try. Just if they wanna do drugs, just let them do drugs, and the consequences are the consequences." Now, as someone who's in law enforcement and who has had a career as long as yours and has seen everything you've seen, what do you say to that mindset?
We are winning the drug war. We're in a really good place right now. We have an administration in place right now in DC that is making funding available for a number of different things. And Jan's going to talk a little bit about an event that's coming up this September. I think President Trump has done a very, very, very good job in putting local law enforcement, state law enforcement in a position to get even more wins. We've had a significant decrease in the numbers of drug-related overdose deaths in this country, and I think the preliminary data for the CDC this year has it in the high 30 percentile, maybe even low 40 percentile. And again, that's as a result of a multifaceted effort. The expanded access for naloxone, which is the opioid overdose reversal drug treatment thoroughfares and access to treatment being expanded, and education. And
Yeah.
education is a critical piece of it. You know, we talked just before we went on a little bit about the current products that are available.
Mhm.
When I entered in law enforcement in 1994, we were concerned about the pharmaceutical thoroughfare and the illicit drug thoroughfare. But now you have people who find their way into addiction through the use of misuse and abuse of pharmaceutical drugs, the use of illicit drugs, and the use of legally purchased products in convenience stores and gas stations. Vape products, gummies, tinctures, oils, these products are not regulated by the USDA or the FDA. And so the deceptive chameleon like nomenclature of the drug culture today is much different than what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. But I will say we are winning the drug war. And for people who say that you can't, I think that they're either misinformed or not as informed as they should be.
Mhm. I like that answer a lot. Now, Jan, talk to us a little bit about your role on the health side of things.
Yeah, so I work at the Mississippi Public Health Institute, and through public health, we realized that one of the things that affects public health most of all sometimes is substance use and abuse. And so we have created a division at the Mississippi Public Health Institute that specifically focuses on substance use disorder, education, prevention, and control. And the biggest part of what we do is education. We go into the communities, we talk to people about what is happening in their own community. Oftentimes, we're able to give them their own data back through ODMAP, which is an overdose mapping system that keeps up with overdoses in a community. Through that, we can do some targeted assistance, and we can talk a little bit about that later through our public health and safety teams. Um, and then we also do education for the workforce, for therapists, for law enforcement officers, for anybody that is touched by this disease. We can provide education for them, but also within the community, much like this event that we're doing here. We'll be the entity that's there doing the naloxone training at that event and providing the naloxone kits for anyone who wants one. And then in addition to that, we also do some things with drug policy. Look, she has hers in her purse. I'm so proud. Yay.
Michael Kelly gave me this last week, and so I said, I'm keeping it with me everywhere I go now.
So now you talk to Michael Kelly about public health and safety teams,
Yes.
and you realize how public health and public safety has to come together to address this issue. And Michael does great work in that area, the Health Institute. And then we also do some work with what we call control, which basically is policy advisement, or we're currently working with the Great American Recovery Initiative. Through some work that we're doing with another organization that we work with out of Tennessee, and working with a congressman out of Kentucky, because we want to do the things in Mississippi that align us with the work that's being done also at the federal level. But we also want the public to understand that when we say addiction, it's a disease. We often see this disease run in families. You'll hear people say, well, his brother and his sister and his aunt and his uncle. Yeah, it is a disease of
Is
the
it a
brain.
genetic makeup?
Can be. But also we know that certain drugs, like what Colonel Maxwell was talking about, do affect the brain and the way that the brain thinks and the way that people react, how we talked about this just a little bit, that some people, you're like, they don't have a filter. Well, it's because the frontal lobe of their brain has been affected by this disease or by drugs that they've, had that they didn't really know were drugs. And everybody's brain works in a different chemical makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So how your brain reacts to these substances can affect a long-time trajectory. So getting on the front side of prevention to us is one of the most important things we could do, but also preventing people from overdose who do have this disease. Through naloxone distribution, through education, through working through the community, and educating as many people as we can.
We see people with traumatic brain injuries, and like what you were saying, it's almost that sometimes they don't have a filter, or they're different than they were before. And it almost sounds like that may be kind of what happens with when you use enough drugs or certain kinds of drugs, that it can almost cause like that kind of injury to your brain.
So we've worked some through the organization Reach Impact Institute that we work with out of Tennessee, and Fund Recovery, which is also an organization out of Tennessee. We're really working with the NFL and looking at like brain injuries from people who played in the NFL for a long time, and how many of them have actually been involved in substance use over time. And it's really interesting when you really get into the work and how the brain does affect addiction.
It really is. I'm intrigued by it. Of course, the brain is such a complex organ anyway, and trying to understand it. Nobody won't understand this brain in here, I'm sure. But that is very, very interesting. We got to take a break, but y'all stay with us because there's so much more that we're going to get to and talk about. We're going to talk about this event coming up, and then I definitely want to hear about the event coming up in September. And I just think it's so important that people are aware of what's going on around us and in our communities, because we have that mindset that could never happen to me. I live in Madison in a good neighborhood. No, it can, and it does. So y'all stay with us. We're going to be right back here. 103.9 WIAB, the Lindsay Beckham Show. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
103.9 WIAB.
When it comes to protecting all the things that matter in your world, generations of folks in central Mississippi have trusted Allstate agent Mark Dwyron. Mark knows the right coverage with the right price, helps you feel secure and protected. For decades, Mark's been a trusted agent protecting you against mayhem that is unpredictable, and he's always just a moment away when you need him. Mark Dwyron. For auto, home, life, and more, you're in good hands with Allstate. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit AmericansForProsperity.org. Be a part of positive change at AmericansForProsperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Have you been injured through no fault of your own? Do you know your rights? Don Evans does. Do you really believe that the insurance company would disclose all information to you? Don Evans will make sure that you are fully informed. It costs nothing to discuss your case. From car wrecks to malpractice, Don Evans will make you and your family whole again. Don Evans won't ever charge unless he collects for you. Call Don for a free, no-obligation consultation at 601-969-2006.
At Flora Animal Hospital, our team doesn't just take care of your pet's needs. We feel like it starts with the pet parents. If the pet parent is informed thoroughly and understands the situation with the animal and why certain things need to be done or certain medications need to be given, it's easier to get that done. Our website is floraanimalhospital.com. It'll take you straight to the online store where your medicine can be purchased, food can be purchased, prescription or non-prescription, and they will be shipped straight to your front door. floraanimalhospital.com.
When
when leaks, clogs, or cold showers slow you down, call on Anglin Plumbing, the plumbing experts who get the job done right the first time. Leaky faucet, sink, or toilet? Need a water heater installed? Call on Anglin Plumbing. You can always trust Anglin's reliable and hardworking technicians. Don't let plumbing headaches ruin your day. Call on Anglin Plumbing Service to get it fixed. And you can be a part of the team. Anglin Plumbing is now hiring. Learn more about Anglin Plumbing at anglinplumbing.com.
Even with interest rates higher than recent norms, real estate values are still holding strong in Mississippi. We caught up again with one of Mississippi's top real estate agents, Shane Saxon, to explain his recent activity in the market.
In the last year or so, it's been the best of my career. Interest rates have been high, but the real estate market is here to stay. Land values especially are continuing to rise. Home values are holding. If you need help with anything in real estate, just give me a call.
Find Shane Saxon on Facebook or give him a call at 601-540-5040. Offer property 601-724-1435.
Hello, friends and neighbors. This is David Frederick. I'm here to tell you about the latest development here at Frederick Sales and Service in Brandon. In an effort to always bring you the very best brands, I am proud to announce that Frederick Sales and Service is Central Mississippi's newest dealer for Skag zero-turn mowers and products. We have deals on one of the industry's best brands of zero-turn mowers, Skag. You can buy now and pay later because 0% financing is also available at Frederick's. Come see our inventory. We're here serving you for over 3 decades in Brandon since 1993.
From Mississippi, where faith, family, and freedom still matter. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show.
Welcome back into the Lindsay Beckham Show. We are here with men from the Public Institute of Health and Maxwell. That's what I'm going to call you, the Mississippi Department of Corrections. He told me to call him that, and I'm going to call him what he tells me. If y'all see him, I don't want to make him mad. But Dan, you're telling me, and I got some questions last week after Michael and Nurse Brenda were on the show about where to get Narcan or naloxone. I guess it's the same thing. One's probably maybe just a generic, but then those names are the same thing. But where can people in this area, and I know there's vending machines at some of the college campuses, and I'm going to let you tell us about that.
Sure. So just to answer your first question about naloxone versus Narcan, Narcan is the brand name.
Okay.
But now and they were the first to develop the nose spray for naloxone. And so naloxone is just the general drug. It's been around for a long time. And used in a clinical setting for many years. But now it is safe to buy over the counter. So there are different companies now that make naloxone for distribution.
Can you just get it at a regular pharmacy?
You can. You can go into any pharmacy and buy it off the shelf, just like you buy Tylenol.
Okay.
If you want to purchase it. But if you are interested in receiving naloxone free, there are lots of different ways that you can get it in our state, and we're very proud of that. Mm-hmm. And we've worked very closely with different organizations in order to provide it as much. Our goal, working with Department of Health, Department of Mental Health, the Attorney General's office, our goal is to get it in the hands of every Mississippian in any way that we possibly can. So early on, one of the first ways that we distributed was through the Department of Health, through a website that we have that educates about everything related to opioids, can also help get you into treatment if you need to go to treatment. But that website is odfree.org.
odfree.org.
And you can also request naloxone there, and it will be mailed to your door. And that's all you have to do. About 2-3 days, you receive it in the mail. So that's one way that you can purchase. You can get it, and it's free.
What would you say to someone who's scared to put their name on it, to ask for it or put their name on it because you're worried now that somebody might think you're a drug user? That's not the case, right?
That is not the case at all. We do track some basic data, like what the zip code was that it came from, because we obviously report those kinds of things, and we look at it from a saturation standpoint, not a punitive standpoint. We want to know how much naloxone do we have in that area. Are we saturating that area? Because that's our goal, to saturate the entire state. So from that perspective, but no, and it doesn't affect anybody's ability to get it ever. But if you are nervous about that, there's some other ways you can do it too. There's a vending machine on campus at Ole Miss. There is a vending machine at the fire department in Hattiesburg that we worked with to get that vending machine in place. We have a vending machine in the Jackson Medical Mall. And then we have 3 vending machines outside the emergency departments at Singing River Hospitals in Gulfport, Pascagoula, and Ocean Springs.
And that's the area where we've seen a lot of fentanyl
Yes.
related.
And we launched the first machine at Singing River Hospital in Gulfport in April. And since that time, let's see, is that April? No, I'm sorry, in January. And since that time, we have dispensed almost 8,000 doses of naloxone out of that machine. And it's really, it is a vending machine. You walk up to the machine, you put in the number, and it just dispenses it like it would a bag of chips. And it's absolutely free. There's nothing tracked. There's no way to, trace it back to you if you're nervous about that. But just know that it's just like Tylenol. If you give this medication to somebody, you could save a life.
But what if I see somebody who I think is overdosing and I'm afraid to go and shoot this up their nose because they could sue me? Or
they cannot sue you. So if you're familiar with the Good Samaritan law that covers you if you give CPR to an individual who you think is having a heart attack, that same law covers you with naloxone. Very rarely do any individuals ever have any kind of side effects from naloxone. Now, we do some basic training around naloxone, just to make people aware that if you have somebody who is in an overdose situation and you give them naloxone, it immediately knocks that drug off the receptor in their brain. So when they wake up, they're going to be confused. They may be, really angry that you just knocked their high off.
I've seen videos like that.
Sure. So, just be aware to keep yourself in a safe situation, but there's nothing legally that's going to come back on you. You're saving a life.
You use one dose. How long do you wait? If you don't see an effect from it or see this person getting better, you use a second?
Right. And part of our training covers that. Also, there are instructions on the box. Familiarize, if you do get naloxone, familiarize yourself with the instructions. You wait about 5 minutes, and if they're not coming back around, you can obviously give them another dose. If they are not breathing or if their heart is not beating, obviously you want to do CPR during that period of time as well. If you know CPR. If not, the most important thing before you even give that dose of naloxone is to call 911. Have emergency help on the way. Give them a dose of naloxone. Wait, they say 3 to 5 minutes. Give the second dose of naloxone, and then wait. That's the best thing that you can do.
But you can absolutely save a life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that we know in the state of Mississippi is since 2023, overdose deaths have gone down by 46%.
Wow.
While our overdoses, according to the data that we have from the health department, have remained pretty steady. So if your deaths are going down, we really believe that this education and this naloxone saturation is making a real difference.
It's working. And I want to ask you, Maxwell, as law enforcement, how can we, and Michael Kelly and I talked about this, we touched on it a little bit last week, but how do we bridge this gap or this divide where someone's a drug user, but of course they want to run from law enforcement because they're afraid of what the consequences might be. Yet I talked to Michael last week, I'm talking to you today, and you both seem like very compassionate men who truly want to help these people and get them the help that they need to get better. So how do we make them understand that they can come and talk to you?
Well, one of the primary components about recovery is accountability. And so if someone, has committed crimes, that, recovery doesn't mean that that's going to negate the accountability. That, accountability is a part of recovery with respect to, law enforcement officers and their thought process and their mindset about recovery, about treatment. But accountability is a primary component of that. You can't enter into full recovery without accountability. And that may be self-accountability. That may include judicial accountability as well, and accountability in other areas. So I think more conversations about what recovery looks like and what the purpose of recovery is. It's interconnected with public safety. Public safety and public health are both interconnected. An issue that may initially began as a public safety issue intersects with public health, and a public health issue oftentimes intersects with public safety. I'll give you an example. If I am addicted to drugs and I'm an intravenous drug user, I'm likely going to be exposed to some type of bloodborne pathogen. If a law enforcement officer comes in contact with me and I have drugs in my possession, that's initially a public safety issue. Okay. But if I contract, a communicable disease, if I'm not treated for that disease, that's also a public health issue, because I can contribute to an elevated viral load in a specific community as it relates to a certain virus or certain disease. And so those things are interconnected, and we have to have more conversations like that. But I'd like to go back to a question you asked that Jan also touched on it when she started talking about the Good Samaritan law and the question of whether or not I should administer naloxone because I'm going to be sued, and the fact that we are winning this war. One of the reasons why Mississippians should feel very comfortable about living in Mississippi is that not only do we have the Good Samaritan law, but we have Parker's law, which is a motivating factor in the walk for life. Cordy Son Parker.
Absolutely.
We also have the Victoria Huggins Pill Press Act. Okay.
As I was telling them last week, I couldn't understand why they were wanting to ban pill presses, and people were. It just blew my mind. Now I get it.
Yeah, because fentanyl can be pressed, colored, and scored, and sold as any pharmaceutical drug. So, the Victoria Huggins Pill Press Act, Jan talked about it. I've also talked about it. Our legislature has also worked with the governor's office to expand the distribution of naloxone. In addition to that, two recent pieces of legislation that were passed and signed by Governor Reeves into law, which is the scheduling of tianeptine, which is a product that could at one point be purchased over the counter in the state. Again, not regulated by the USDA or FDA, but could contain some of these dangerous and lethal synthetic opioids and cannabinoids. And then limiting the purchase of kratom to individuals who are age 21. And then something I think that has also contributed to a decrease in drug-related overdose deaths and even that initial phase and stage of addiction, although controversial, depending upon where you fall on the side of the conversation, our medical cannabis program, because now we're not concerned about you getting your cannabis from Ray, Juju, Homer, or Bubba. Right. You can get a medical cannabis card and go to one of our state-regulated dispensaries. Although controversial for a lot of folks, but when we're talking about decreasing addiction, talking about decreasing drug-related overdose deaths, we right now can be thankful for the fact that we have a legislature that is informed and a governor's office that is locked in and in tune to what Mississippians are dealing with.
Absolutely. I completely agree 100% with you there. We got to take a break, but y'all stay with us because this conversation is just so interesting to me. And I love the fact that we are winning this war in Mississippi, and that education saves lives. It truly does. So there's much more for us to discuss. Y'all stay with us. We're going to be right back here at the Lindsay Beckham Show, WYAB 1039.
Keep it tuned here to 1039 WYAB.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
When it comes to protecting all the things that matter in your world, generations of folks in central Mississippi have trusted Allstate agent Mark Dwyron. Mark knows the right coverage with the right price helps you feel secure and protected. For decades, Mark's been a trusted agent protecting you against mayhem that is unpredictable. And he's always just a moment away when you need him. Mark Dwyron. For auto, home, life, and more, you're in good hands with Allstate. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Final preparations for America's 250th celebrations are underway. And in Washington, D.C., that includes heightened security for fireworks and festivities. ABC's Pierre Thomas says more.
19 miles of fencing is being installed as we speak. The other thing, for the first time, authorities are saying perhaps ever, in order to get on the National Mall, you have to go through a security checkpoint, including a magnetometer.
U.S. Capitol Police say only essential personnel will be permitted to attend tonight's rehearsal for the Capitol 4th concert. And due to extreme heat, details on the concert will be announced tomorrow morning. More than 180 million Americans are facing heat alerts this holiday weekend. In Venezuela, search and rescue efforts continue following last week's double earthquakes, and there are signs of life. A security guard pulled alive from a collapsed shopping mall 8 days later. The U.S. men's soccer team celebrating last night's World Cup win against Bosnia and Herzegovina. The U.S. advances to the round of the...
Have a large fleet of vehicles? Looking for somewhere to provide routine maintenance? Tired of waiting on an appointment? Ken here with Rapid Oil Change. We accept most local and national fleets as well as 30-day in-house accounts with no appointment needed. We offer maintenance packages to fit any need. Oil changes, wipers, tires, car washes, and more. Have a diesel? No sweat. We carry diesel exhaust fluid and diesel fuel filters. With over 40 years of experience, Rapid Oil is the right choice for your fleet. Stop in today and let us keep your fleet ready and on the road.
Looking to elevate your ride? Weston Automotive and Rick's Pro Truck have you covered. From rugged bumpers to sleek step bars, Weston's top-notch accessories will transform your truck into a head-turner. And at Rick's Pro Truck, we specialize in custom installations that bring your vision to life. Visit us today for expert advice and unbeatable deals. Weston Automotive and Rick's Pro Truck, where your truck's potential comes alive. Weston and RPT. Trucks live here.
Imagine a day set apart for prayer, worship, and renewal. Reaching Beyond Ministries invites you to the Women's Prayer and Praise Break Conference, Thursday, September 24th at the 2 Mississippi Museums in downtown Jackson. Join women from our community for encouragement, fellowship, and faith-filled renewal as we pray for our city and beyond. Sponsorships, donations, and silent auction gifts are welcomed. For more information, email angelabutler01@gmail.com.
The Tri-County Academy Rebel success in the classroom and on the athletic stage begins with the Tri-County Academy Booster Club. Join the team and be a Rebel by getting involved and volunteering as a booster. Your involvement is the generator for fundraisers, facility upgrades, equipment, uniforms, and all other needs. Tri-County Athletics thrives in part because of our TCA boosters. Join today by calling the TCA main office at 601-879-8517 and help the Rebels continue the championship tradition.
Happy birthday, America, and happy Gravely savings for you. This is Joe Rooks with Revel Ace Hardware and Revel Outdoor Power. Celebrate all American savings during our July 250 sales event with up to $2,500 off MSRP on select Gravely zero-turn mowers. Act now and take an extra $250 off our best price on select Gravely models.
Hurry, Revel's July 250 sales event ends soon.
Gravely, American-made, built to mow the distance. Revel and Gravely, brands you can trust.
Welcome back into the Lindsay Beckham Show. We are joined in the studio today by Ms. Jan from Mississippi Health Institute, Public Health Institute, and then Maxwell. Tell us your title again.
Well, as of today, I'm retired. I'm a
you're retired. We just keep dragging
Director
you back
of Corrections
in.
Investigations for MDOC. Right now, today I am.
Today
But
you
tomorrow,
are.
hey, check me. Who knows? Who knows what I'll be doing?
Mississippi Department of Corrections. So we're talking about this conversation that we've been taking about a day every week to really focus on, which is this fentanyl and synthetic drug crisis that's hit not only the entire country, of course, that spiked a lot when the border was non-existent for 4 years under the Biden administration. But we are winning. We're talking about how we're winning the drug war and how we're winning that drug war here in Mississippi. We've been talking about the ways that we can combat that with the Narcan or the naloxone. Is there something you wanted to say?
There's always something I want to say. But
well, we were talking about the break, the Narcan, and our cops do all law enforcement carry Narcan.
We do as law enforcement professionals, but that naloxone is available right now through a partnership with a number of agencies, and I think Jan can talk a little bit about the training. I can talk about the importance of that, but I think we should begin that response to me letting Jan talk about some of the work that they've done at Public Health Institute in partnership with Public Safety.
Yes, in partnership with Public Safety and the Department of Mental Health, about 5 years ago, we wrote a grant through SAMHSA that allowed us to go in and train law enforcement and first responders on the basics of naloxone administration. And so we've been doing that for about 5 years, and we've been keeping up with the saturation map. And as of a week ago, we have touched every county in the state of Mississippi in the last 5 years. There's at least a law enforcement entity and a first responder entity that is carrying naloxone. We also partnered with UMMC, if you're familiar with the helicopter guys, that always land the helicopters when there's a tragedy. They also do a lot of training in the state, and so they were able to train all of the emergency medical teams in the state on proper use of naloxone and put it as part of their emergency kit that they literally grab when they jump off the helicopter or out of the ambulance. So it is readily available across the state. That grant is ending, so we're constantly looking for ways to keep not only our first responders equipped, but also our vending machines stocked. And then also, SAMHSA came back to us in the last year and we said, can you just give us, what's your definition of a first responder? And I said, let's get back to you on that. And because, we
How
think
broad can we be?
Yeah, we think about our teachers. We think about
Yes.
our school resource officers. We think about anybody who is in that emergency situation. And they came back to us and said, okay, so we have a definition for you. It's anybody who's running toward an overdose.
That's everybody. That could be anybody.
Absolutely. And so that's what opened the door for us to be able to stock the vending machines and work more closely with community groups and advocates within the community to say, okay, we can distribute this. And one of the things that I didn't say just a few minutes ago is if you need naloxone, Mississippi Public Health Institute has a vending area in our lobby. Just come in. We will give it to you. We will talk to you, provide it any way that you need it. So
Yeah, we're seeing it work. And so I feel like it should be in every classroom and outside of every ER.
Right.
Of course, that takes money.
And anybody that wants to contact us, we will put you in contact with a venue where you can get it. We do work with several school districts. We have hung emergency boxes on the wall that have an alarm on them. And so if you open the door and take the naloxone out, the alarm goes off as well. So somebody's calling 911 while you're running toward the emergency. If schools want their teachers trained, we go in and do teacher training. It's about to be that time of year where, teachers are having their training before school starts. We'll work with school districts. We also have curriculum that we can provide to school districts from K through 12. We have Healthy Harry that talks to children about good decisions, surrounding substance use, and then we have a curriculum for older students in grades 6 through 12.
That's great. One thing you had said in the last segment was talking about the legislature, and I got to shout out my buddy Nick Bain, former state representative, who worked with our friend Cordy to get Parker's Law through. Now, Parker's Law, do you want to explain kind of what Parker's Law does and the effects of that?
Yes, ma'am. Parker's Law allows a district attorney's office to charge someone under that particular statute, being able to prove that they knowingly sold fentanyl, resulting in the death of someone. And then it has minimum and maximum penalties associated with that if an individual is charged and convicted under that law. Parker's law, like just legislation as a whole, I think as we go forward,
We got to tweak it a little bit.
I hope the legislature looks at it because the drug culture has evolved.
Got to add those synthetic drugs
Right,
to that.
absolutely. As our drug culture has continued to evolve, and these drugs are so prevalent in society, and that's interconnected with the importance of law enforcement officers also having access to the opioid overdose reversal drug, naloxone, is that the drugs are so potent, they're so prevalent in society, you can be inadvertently exposed or unintentionally exposed.
Right.
And it doesn't take a significant amount of these drugs to be introduced into your bodies to cause your body to have an adverse reaction, an adverse reaction leading to overdose, an overdose leading to death, being that it's a synthetic opioid. So therein lies the primary importance as to why public safety professionals should not only carry but have access to naloxone. And we were talking a little earlier about the number of doses that should be administered. That is going to be determined on the amount of the opioid that is metabolizing in that person's body and the type of opioid. Obviously, fentanyl is going to be a whole lot more potent than heroin. And so depending upon that person's tolerance and the amount of either of those drugs metabolizing in their bodies, that's going to determine how many times you may have to administer naloxone. You may administer 2 doses and that person is not revived, but on the 3rd dose, you may save their life. In addition to that, the importance of, and I learned this through the training that MSPHI conducts, is that the individual may have pre-existing conditions. Okay, they may also have another drug metabolizing in their system, such as a synthetic cannabinoid, and the naloxone is not going to reverse the effects of that drug. So it's important, again, that you call EMS and you get medical professionals on the scene, because although the naloxone may reverse the effects of the opioid, it's not going to help with any pre-existing conditions that may have been aggravated, or if they have another drug other than an opioid metabolizing in their system.
Right, and that's so important to think about. It's so scary, some of the things. Look, there's some things that the FDA allows that I'm like, what are they thinking? So if they're not proving it, I'm gonna stay far away. I can tell you that, or I'm gonna try to as best as I possibly can. But have you seen, since the passing of Parker's Law, have you seen a decrease in the distribution? Has that kind of deterred people from wanting to sell these types of drugs?
Well, the nomenclature of the drug culture, it's extremely adaptive. It's extremely adaptive, and so individuals want to take the path of least resistance. But when you enact legislation and attach stiffer penalties, eventually you begin to see a shift. And what I'm being told right now by a number of people who I still communicate with is that a lot of individuals who are involved in the drug culture as sellers, as distributors, are moving towards cannabis. Because of the broader market now for cannabis, which then creates competition for our legitimate medical cannabis dispensaries. But you still have to be careful, because I may sell you cannabis, and again, if you're getting it from Ray, Juju, Homo, or Bubba, whoever, you don't know what's in it. You don't know what it's been laced with or anything like that. So the inherent danger remains, even though we see some shifts right now that are occurring in the drug culture. I guess a good barometer, okay, because I recently worked for the Department of Corrections. A good barometer for what's being sold in a community is the type of contraband that may successfully be either introduced into a correctional facility or that is interdicted. Typically, those are the drugs that are going to be sold in that community, because those drugs are coming from that community to be introduced into that correctional facility that is located in that community. And so it's usually a good barometer. And we've seen a shift in some of the contraband that is attempted to be introduced into facilities coming from from those communities, which is the reason why, as you stated earlier, we have to hopefully go back and look at some of our legislation and tweak it to encompass
Right.
from a broader perspective some of these drugs that are just as dangerous as fentanyl.
Absolutely. I completely agree. We got to take our last break. Y'all stay with us. We're going to be right back here to wrap things up for the day on the Lindsay Beckham Show. Don't go anywhere.
.1039 WYAB.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue. Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
When it comes to protecting all the things that matter in your world, generations of folks in central Mississippi have trusted Allstate agent Mark Dwyron. Mark knows the right coverage with the right price, helps you feel secure and protected. For decades, Mark's been a trusted agent protecting you against mayhem that is unpredictable. And he's always just a moment away when you need him. Mark Dwyron. For auto, home, life, and more, you're in good hands with Allstate. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Some people spend summer stressing over snacks. Smart people stop at Broad Street Baking Company. From smoked salmon dip to whipped feta and so much more, you can build your own snack tray, enjoy a cocktail, and grab a full-size dip to go. Beach day, boat day, game night, or backyard hang, Broad Street has summer covered. Take home all of your favorites from the grab-and-go cooler. Broad Street Baking Company in Banner Hall. We'll handle the snacks. You enjoy the summer.
Looking for adventure, amazing food, and a little relaxation all in one place? You'll find it at Cypress Point Resort in Brandon. Load up the family and experience a real drive-through safari, petting zoo, and thrilling guided Jeep tours. Then slow it down with mouth-watering steaks at the steakhouse, or grab drinks and live music at the tavern. Planning a wedding or reunion? Cypress Point Resort has beautiful venues and cozy lodging. Ready for your big day or just a weekend escape? It's everything you love about the outdoors with a touch of luxury. Cypress Point Resort. Wild fun right around the corner.
It's road trip season again. Is your vehicle ready? Take your vehicle to Green's Tire and Auto on Ridgewood Road in Ridgeland to get it in tip-top shape before you head out of town. Don't get stranded while you're away from home. Preventative maintenance is their specialty at Green's Tire and Auto. And if your check engine light is already on, then Green's Tire and Auto can tell what's wrong and get it fixed. Before you start your road trip, take your car to Green's Tire and Auto, Ridgewood Road in Ridgeland.
Welcome back in for the last few seconds of the Lindsay Beckham Show today. One thing we talked about in the break that I wanted to mention is that if your children are at a party, or if something happens, somebody overdoses and you're afraid to call 911 because you're afraid that you might get in trouble, you will not get in trouble. So call 911, do what you need to do to help save a life. Again, July the 11th, this fentanyl walk for lives, Madison, Liberty Park, 10 to 2. Thank you guys so much. We only have about 10 seconds left, but just thank you so much. I know it goes by so fast, but I love the fact that y'all are, and y'all will be there, right? July the 11th at this event.
Absolutely.
Y'all come out and support these parents who've lost these children. Let them educate you. Get your free Narcan. You never know when you might need it. Y'all have a great Thursday afternoon. Bye.